What's up, guys? Welcome back to Muscle Minds with Scott Stevenson. I'm Scott McNally. All of our programming is brought to you by TrueNutrition.com. You can use our code THINK to get some great savings, and plus you will support our programming. I'm about to make a purchase of some citrulline malate, some beta-alanine, and I'm going to get very, very pumped. You can also support us through Patreon, so definitely consider checking that out. Every $5 helps. And of course, this program is brought to you by Your Own Bodybuilding Coach, BYOBBcoach.com. Check out Scott's great book. I think you even got it right there, don't you?
I have boxes of the book.
You can see it in the background too. Yes, there you go. That's it.
There it is. Uh-huh.
You can see it right over my shoulder. That's you, the thirst trap Stevenson.
Yes, exactly.
So, guys, today we are going to have
the
this
Mirage.
Is going to be a fun one.
That's my nickname, the Mirage in the Desert, the ultimate thirst trap.
This is going to be a fun one, guys. We are going to discuss best bodybuilding cities. We actually had put up a thread. The thing is asking people what their favorite bodybuilding gyms were in the cities they lived in. And the cool thing is that when you find a gym that you love, you're passionate about it. Ron Partlow told me this. He was like, people come from around the country, around the world to the expos, and they meet him, and they are pumped to tell him about the gym that they train at. So we're going to talk about best bodybuilding cities today, what makes a good bodybuilding city, and we're going to rank our own. Now, Scott and I haven't explored every city there is in the continental or extended U.S., but we have some experience with a couple states. So we will discuss the states we're familiar with. And Scott's done a ton of traveling on his RV gym tour. So, Scott, let me ask you this: let's discuss the factors first of what determines what a good bodybuilding city would be.
The city or the gym?
Well, the gym is part of it, but I'm thinking okay, can I bring up one then to get us started?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many ways to start this topic, man. I'm torn.
Here's my thought. Okay, so everybody calls their gym the Mecca now. There's the East Coast Mecca, the West Coast Mecca, the Midwest Mecca, the Detroit Mecca, whatever. But here's the
Midwest
thing.
Mecca? I don't know that one.
The Midwest Mecca, that is Mike Davies' gym.
Okay. All right.
Fitness.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, okay. So here's the deal though. When we think of Mecca, there is really one. Let's be real. The true Mecca has always been Gold's Gym Venice. And at one time that was a great place to be a bodybuilder. But here's my thought. It's a cool gym. I think environment is a really big factor in that gym community you get, but good luck trying to pay for food, pay for an apartment or a house. It's like, it doesn't make economical sense. I could run 100 extra units of growth, farm grade growth per week versus live in Venice Beach or Santa Monica. So I think that those things are important. Do you want to start with the gym though?
I wonder, I don't know what the current status of Venice Gold's is, because it was boarded up at one point, a year or so ago during the pandemic.
I believe there's
a video on YouTube.
Yeah.
Is it open up now again, or?
Yeah, they're semi-open. Let's talk, assuming that all of the hell that was 2020, which carried into 2021, let's assume that it will eventually vanish to some extent. In this ideal world that we live in, that we're envisioning here at least, that it will reopen. So, yeah. Right.
That's just kind of, that's going to be our this is all about fantasizing on the best gym ever. So that perfectly fits with the theme and the idea. See, the thing that pops in my head too is one of the things that made Gold so, one of the features that made Gold's the Mecca is that people were willing to take a pilgrimage to there and literally live in vans parked in the parking lot to train at that gym. So while for the average person, it totally makes sense. Living in California is sky high, but if you're really hardcore, you don't give a rat's ass. You'll live in your gym without in your van without air conditioning, and make it happen. That was I think there's several stories of people having done that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
So, it kind of depends. Right. It's there's such a range. So you talk about the gym, like the thing with the gym, it's vibe is everything, I think. Like you can have the gym, and there was one, actually it was here in town for a little while, and I've been to other gyms like this that are, there's no advertising, there's no nothing. It's just literally a warehouse space, truly like it's being used as a warehouse with some equipment in there.
I've been to those.
Just some fans and people just going to town, just, blood, sweat, and chalk.
Yeah.
Going after it. That's a gym.
Yeah,
that's what you want. You go in there and like, like there's no like, God, I don't want to go to the, all you do is you get there and you have to get fired up.
Yeah.
It's basically like you might as well just be injecting yourself with pure adrenaline. Like it's going to happen if you make it there because it can't go otherwise due to the nature of the gym.
Yeah.
So equipment could be like kind of subpar, but you figure out a way to make it work because you're driven by the environment. You're driven and motivated by the people that are there, what they do. Like Derek's gym, Weapon X, like it has that vibe. Some of that's because of he and I having with Jarrett, his training partner, having done some good heavy training there. So, but when you go there, it's go to town time, and everyone's going to town for the most part.
That's
pretty
cool.
much the clients of all the trainers, no one's pussyfooting really at all.
Here's my thought too. I think some people, they think about the environment and they look at it as like, oh, the camaraderie, the friendship, and you may achieve those things. But at the end of the day, what I think the most important thing you're talking about is that when you train around people like that, you don't mess around. You don't lift easy. I almost said light, but I don't know if that's the right word. You don't go easy. Every workout is going to be brutal, and an environment like that, I think, holds you more accountable, to be giving your best. When you're surrounded by everybody that's lifting whatever heavy means to them, then you're lifting heavier as well, You're gonna grow.
There's at least two key features that I think sort of characterize that good environment. One is just encouragement from others. Like there could be someone's going to town, they're on the other side of the gym, you know what they're about to do because you hear them screaming. You can see that they're going to try to pull 6 plates off the floor or whatever it might be. And you just scream at them, just like, get that shit or whatever, you just let them know that you're behind them. The whole gym is oriented towards supporting that. And the other, and we talked about this on the show, I think not too long ago. The other feature is that everyone knows that you're there to so you can goof around, have conversations, train hard, but you don't have to put anyone on your, what I call the do not talk list.
Yeah. Right.
Because you literally you can just be mid sentence and say, just sec. And you just get into your zone and do your thing. You can tell them hey, fuck off. I've got something to do. And they get it. No one takes offense at that. It's absolutely, In fact, I'm going to stand here and scream at your ass while you do this shit, because I want you to get after it too. So there's there's that, there's this vibe where everyone knows that you're resting and you can chit chat and talk, but flipping your switch on and off is not considered a socially unacceptable thing. In fact, it's encouraged, to do that. And say, I got to go, I'm cooling down or whatever. You just literally mid sentence. If you need to leave,
then go,
you can
hit that set.
It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are two things, I think be able to get a set or a spot.
Oh,
from someone,
a good spot. Yes.
Yeah. Or even one of the trainers at Derek's gym, Malik, he's done this before. He's called it. He was, in fact, it was deadlifting the time I'm thinking of right now. He's like, hey, can I get you guys over here for this deadlift?
Yeah.
To help me get after it. It's just it wasn't no one's spotting him on deadlifts. It was just encouragement because he knew, that he was capable of more in a certain sense. He's always capable of it, but he's going to have a better performance when he's got people screaming at him because the motivation's there. Yeah. And you're happy to do that. It's yeah, come join the party, man. It's of course I would love to, that's the best thing you could possibly offer me,
I like that.
So that's why I mentioned Derek's gym, because all those things happen there.
Okay. Well, this is one detail. That's one detail.
Yes,
so we don't want to get too far into, that one detail. Other details would be of a gym. If we're talking about the gym, would be the equipment that they have. You know, I think that probably comes secondary. You know, I would rather train at a place that was bare bones, that had a great vibe, than train at a place that had every hammer strength machine there was, every life fitness machine there was, but it was cold, sterile, and you were looked at weird if you tried too hard. I've trained at places like that, and it doesn't end up well if you're if you're trying to take this to an extreme. You're looked at as different. You start seeing yourself as being different, and you start feeling like you're not part of. And it takes I think a lot of people have to deal with that too. I think a lot of people, probably people that are watching or listening to it right now, are dealing with training at a gym that does not feel comfortable to them, but for whatever reason, be it proximity, be it financially, they can't make it work to go to the place that they would call like home. So I think equipment is a factor.
Yeah. And what you said too, not to kind of bring it back to the vibe though, is that feeling, that uncomfortable feeling. I totally can empathize with that, because I think in various social circumstances, everyone has felt out of place at some time. You know, you walk in, like you don't match the dress code, or you're a minority. Like, you know, I got that. I live in California. I was a minority because I was Caucasian. When I was in Germany, I was a minority because I was a foreigner. You know, so a little bit of taste of that. You go into a gym and you're the guy who's like, look at the roid head over there, like going bonkers. Like, who's he going to kill? You know, after the set. And that doesn't bother me one bit. You know, I just do my thing. You know, I just, like, that doesn't hold me back. But you know, I reckon, like, in a certain way, I realize I've got probably more experience than 90% of the people in the gym. So I never feel like, you know, it's them versus me. Like, it's never really occurred to me. But I totally get that. But on the equipment, I think there's two sort of best configurations for equipment. And one is what you saw at Gold's Venice, because they had like 5 or 6 complete lines of equipment, like everything for Cybex, everything for hammer strength. Maybe I don't know what they have now. It's been a long time since I've been out there. But they had the full lines of everything. Like, I don't know how many, you know, 5 or 6 lines, all the pieces. There was nothing that they didn't have. So that's one way you can see things. And then there's the gyms, and I like these. Hard to pick one versus the other, where you see some lines, of course, and parts of lines, but half of the machines, let's say, are hand-picked. They're specific machines that the person has collected over the course of years or sought out. Okay,
give us an example of a
vertical leg press.
No, I mean a gym like this. Give us an example. You've got Gold's Gym on the one end. What would be a good example of a gym like this?
Like, remember Latz, Casey Reed?
Of course.
Who we had, his gym, Main Street Gym, was like that. Yeah. He had picked up those pieces. He knew what he's wanting. He just waited for them to come. He'd find things that were in St. Louis, or he'd drive to get them. So he had put together a lot of his pieces that way.
That's cool.
These are like the combination, the penultimate combination. Now we'll get more to specific gyms. Is Bob's Gym in Omaha.
So John Meadows says that's his favorite gym ever.
He says that's maybe the best gym in the world.
I asked him which was better, that or Quads, because in Chicago.
Right.
And he said that Bob's Gym beats Quads Gym in North Chicago. Quads is the best gym, I think, possibly that I've been to. It's at least in the top 3. That place was unbelievable. And I feel like it has the hand-picked quality, but also the number of a place like a Gold's. Like, they have hand-picked, but tons. And I have a feeling that's what Bob's is as well.
There's videos. John's got 1 or maybe 2 videos there, and there's a video tour of the gym.
Yeah. I
saw that. They saw the glute room. Like, they have like 25-piece glute room, chest for glutes.
Yeah.
It's as big as some gyms. So yeah, Bob's, that's where I didn't get to go. That was like, I think, my next stop on my tour when the pandemic hit, was going out to Bob's. I had an Airbnb rented and everything ready to go.
One I wanted to ask you about. We put up a Facebook group here, or excuse me, a post in the Facebook group asking people what their favorite gym was. And we had at least a few people mention Armbrust. Now, I know you spent like a week out there. You did a seminar, I believe, and then you hung out and trained for a week at Armbrust Pro Gym. Can you speak on that one?
It was quite close to a week, but I think I got in like 4 workouts over 4 days.
Nice.
Yeah, literally. I mean, I got up, I trained the morning of the seminars. Like every day I was there, I trained. I made sure I fit one in, just because I could. So yeah, Dylan. First of all, Dylan's just awesome. Like this is the quintessential example of, competitor for many, many years. He trains a lot of high end people out there. Like he was worked with a lot of the pros. Trained. I think he works with pros still. He's I think he's an NPC judge I think he's an IFBB judge. Okay. Not sure if he has his own show.
Yeah.
At least 1, maybe 2. So he's like at the centerpiece. Like that, I think, is sort of the centerpiece of Colorado bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And Ken could probably, Phil Heath trains there.
Yeah.
So like that tells you something, right? And yeah, great equipment, some really nice pieces. They had some prime plate loaded pieces in there that were really, really nice. Trying to think through some of the machines. Like there was that, and there was like an old school Smith machine that I used for quite a few things that was just like perfectly lubricated.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of the smaller bar, which I kind of like sometimes.
Yes,
and
I agree with that.
The knurling was all worn down on it, but it felt really, really good. And I think it was counterbalanced, so it makes you feel like you're lifting a little bit more because the bar basically weighs nothing. So there was that, and just a lot of they have an entire room dedicated to legs,
nice.
All leg room. Yeah. So we went in there for the seminar with Alan Aragon and Paul Carter, and that's the leg room is where we basically did a good part of the practical, not all of it, but a good part of the practical piece. Yeah. So the gym is just like extraordinarily well equipped, but it's got the roll up doors and super high ceilings. So it's not gigantic, but it's got a mix of pieces, and you could tell every single one of them is just phenomenal. Like there's not one that he's kept just to have the piece because you feel like you need to have a preacher curl, what have you, that wasn't a badass machine. If it wasn't a good machine, it wouldn't have been there or wouldn't have lasted for probably more than a couple of weeks because he's just not going to allow that. Like there's just no point, right? That's just taking up space when you could have something better. So they're all top of the line in terms of loading curve, and they're well maintained. And then, you've got Dorian Haywood out there, Heather Grace trains out there, Phil's out there, Ivana Vucic and her hubby, he's gonna make some. Brett Wilkin, he's gonna make. I don't know if they're married yet, obviously, but
I believe they are. Yes, yeah.
Are they? But they maintain their different last names, I guess. But Brett Wilkins is a friggin' cool, super cool guy.
Yeah.
I think you've had him on the show, right?
Yep,
or one of the shows?
Yeah, right after he turned pro. I want to get him on again. We haven't yet, but
we trained, this was in Columbus. I got to train kind of along with Brett and John and Ivana.
Yeah.
This is one of the years I think when Ivana was doing the Arnold, and Brett just destroyed both John and me. Like That's he was funny. Like we did destroy. We all hung together one another, but he was just using like 50% more weight than both of us.
That's crazy.
And that was when he was still trying to fit into Classic.
Right.
He just gotten his pro card, and now I can't even. I mean, I've seen some of the training videos, but now he's so much bigger.
Yeah.
And he's just totally pushed it. And like you saw that was there. Like it was just amazing to see him in his off season.
Yeah.
That he'd even. It's like how. Making Classic, like he had lose so much muscle to get there. So those, when you have guys like that, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a bunch, but there's a number of top level amateurs out there too. You go into a gym like that, and it's like, yeah, everyone's a badass, but everyone's friendly, everyone's really nice. It's just like it's got all the pieces. Like it's about as good as the gym could be. Really, I think
I would say that is a great one. So places I can speak of course, I live in Detroit. I can speak on Detroit, and I can say that Detroit definitely has a lot of pros. And when I say pros, I mean positives for bodybuilding. First of all, the cost of living is low. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you can afford more growth hormone. You can also afford your food. The food isn't, the food is not
GH City.
expensive.
It's not Murder City now. It's GH City.
Exactly.
Is it cheaper on the streets to buy growth hormone in the back alley there?
We do have some good gyms. I mean, this is the home of the original Powerhouse. Powerhouse came out of Detroit. So we have the original Powerhouse downtown. And then we have the Powerhouse World headquarters in Novi. And Novi has all the machines, but it does have kind of the non-meathead vibe. In fact, I've been told that the owner doesn't like bodybuilding of that gym.
Really?
One of his sons. Yeah, so there's some clash that I think happens there in my experience. But they don't care what you do down at the original Powerhouse in Detroit. And that place just feels hard. It's the best word I can use. And you get a vibe in that place. I mean, you've got guys like Samir Bannout that came up in there. Ron Love is still in there to this day.
He's going to compete this year, from what I saw.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Did he say he said he was going to?
I think he's planning on a comeback. And
he told me that last year too. I would love to see it.
Okay.
He's 75, I think.
Outrageous.
Double quad tear.
Looks like he's 35.
Back. Yeah. Oh yeah. I would love to see it. But I know. But here's the thing, and I know we keep getting off track here. With Ron Love, he has the heart of a competitor. He doesn't see himself as retired. His entire life, I don't think he's going to see himself as retired.
Right.
He's always got one more in him, and I think that says a lot for the mindset to do what Ron Love had done with his physique.
Yeah, that's way off topic, but there's a centenarian project at the University of Georgia that they have an aging center there.
Yeah.
Leonard Poon used to run the thing. I don't know if he's there anymore, and they've looked into sort of the mentality of centenarians, people who have made it to 100 years plus. And that jives with that sort of mindset. It's like, you're just like, it's not on your radar that you're 75, 85, 95, whatever. You're just being you, and the age is just a number and all that kind of stuff that people say. I think sometimes people try to get themselves convinced of that, but sometimes the centenarians, they just have that as a natural born perspective.
Yeah.
It's just like something that's part of how they are.
Well, when you walk in that gym, you walk down this hall, photos on either side, hundreds of pictures, history of bodybuilding that's taken place in that building and in the city and around the owners, and the feeling I wouldn't say it's a happy feeling either. There's a dark feeling in that gym. There's a dark feeling, but listen, man, it's like what Kai Green said about Ronnie Coleman. If you're going to put whatever it was, 800 pounds in squat for reps, you've got something dark going on inside of you,
Yeah.
And I do feel like that training there, and maybe it was training with Shelby there for years on back day. There is a darkness to that place, but it'll push you. So I'd say that Detroit is a great city for bodybuilding. And that's my experience. You're in Tampa. You guys have a bunch of gyms there, don't you?
Yeah, well, I wore this. I don't have a. We already talked about Derek's gym. I don't have a FAM Tampa shirt because they're out of them. I have some of my Weapon X shirts.
Yeah,
but this is the Powerhouse. There's two Powerhouses in Tampa. The North Powerhouse is the one that I prefer.
Okay,
and they're the old school one. They've just got a new owner. And that one, it's got like the wood. I think it's the wood, like the wood paneling on the walls, and there's pictures all around, like the one half of the gym of bodybuilders who've trained there. They haven't been putting them up from some of the recent people who are competitors that I've seen.
Yeah.
Which would be really cool. They should continue that. But I think it was the original owner, and there's probably close to 100 pictures. Maybe I've never counted them, all along the dumbbell area.
I like
and
that.
One half of the gym, of all the, like, there's pictures of the previous owner with Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And some, pros, like, people, like Denise Rutkowski, I think maybe has a picture up there. And, Corey Everson, like some of the early female competitors and like, early golden era type bodybuilding competitors. But a lot of them are just local competitors.
Okay.
Who are getting after it, like at the Mr. Florida, whatever early shows there were, in Florida, like 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
and he's changing out a lot of machines now, but that's I like that gym. Now I do have some do not talk list people there, a couple of them, which I've talked about before, but for the most part, it's super friendly. They're just great. They have a great time. They have like this is another feature that sometimes I like to see. They had this at a gym that's no longer around, unfortunately, that I'll tell you about in a sec, but they have a best lifts dry erase board.
Oh, those
are
like
cool. This ongoing competition. Those are so cool, right? And it's like, I can't remember what it is, like, 500-pound deadlift for reps, or 315-pound deadlift for reps, or something like that, and bent over rope. Like, they've got a whole bunch of challenges, and it keeps on, volleying back and forth. This gym, I might have mentioned this before, it was called Astro Gym. It was in California, in West Covina, which is where I lived. And literally, it was in like a supermarket center.
Yeah,
there was a bar like right next to it, and I would have to go in there. Like, it was 24 hours. Actually, it wasn't really technically 24. They gave me a key. Yeah. Because I would have to sometimes go train in the middle of the night, and every once in a while I'd be training in there with the minimal lights on, and drunk people would walk out and like see me in there and like go and they peer up to the window and start doing this. I was just stumbling drunk, and it was Astro Gym, the last real gym, is what it said right across the window.
I like that.
And I was literally, I don't think I can remember a time when there was someone in there who wasn't speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
Everyone just spoke Spanish. So I talked with a guy named Manny who ran the gym, that sort of managed the gym, and he and I spoke English. They had the dumbbells they were decent. Like, some of you just didn't want to pick up because they're going to fall apart on your head, if you weren't careful.
They have a couple of those at Highland Park too.
Yeah, there's another gym that just occurred to me, like Gainesville Gym, which I think may be closed too. Like, it's another old school gym in Gainesville, Florida. But in the Astro Gym, like a lot of old school Cybex, some of the chain drive Cybex machines, those sorts of things. Yeah. And they had one cycle ergometer, maybe two. And one of them, I think, was an old Monarch where you just hand crank the resistance, like they use for Wingates, like a Wingate style bike, but before people were doing Wingates for fat loss. And the treadmill was on rollers. It was like a mechanical roller. So you get up on the thing. It was like set at like 30 degrees incline, and you put a belt behind your back to keep you from falling off. And you just walked on the thing. It was like a roller band, with just wood rollers on it. And that was the cardio. So I think maybe over the 2 years I was there, I saw like maybe 2 or 3 women on 2 or 3 occasions. Like, it was all guys, all dudes. And it was great. I mean, it was literally like kind of his like total version of a different version, but a hardcore gym. Yes.
I'm still trying to figure Tampa out now. So I'm thinking Detroit, cost of living is low. There are good gyms. I forgot one negative. Here's a negative: is the drive time is going to be 25 minutes. I saw Tino's watching right now. Tino's got RTB gym in Lincoln Park. Love that gym. It's 25 minutes from me. Highland Park Powerhouse, 25 minutes from me. Novi Powerhouse, 25 minutes from me. Traffic, rush hour, if I were to work a 9 to 5, would probably be a lot worse after work. I know I used to go to Novi after work, and it would be sometimes an hour drive to get there, just stop and go on the freeway. Tampa traffic's not great, but what are we talking here? These gyms, how long from where you live do they take? Are they spread out or what?
Derek's gym is really close. It's like, if I'm on the motorcycle, I can get there in, I think I've done it 8 minutes before, and normally it's like 20 on it with my truck.
Okay, so figure 20. Then what about the Powerhouse? Then how far?
It's maybe another 5 minutes. It's just on up the highway a little way. So maybe 20, 25 minutes most.
Okay.
There's Tampa, St. Pete, and Clearwater, and then all the other cities that technically are municipalities, sort of amongst those three. So, like, there are gyms that are an hour drive that are decent that I really don't know much about. I just hear about them. Yeah. Haven't been to a lot of them. Asgard Gym, which is in Bradenton. That's about an hour south of me.
What do you think? What's the most amount of time that you think would be worth committing to drive to a good gym for somebody that does work a 9 to 5 job? What would be pushing it?
Man,
because you got to figure that in. You got to figure that in. Like I work 8-9 hours, and I'm going to train for hour and a half, 2 hours, and then my travel time is. My thought would be 30 minutes, man. Anything more than 30 minutes, you're pushing it. You're eating up a lot of your day.
Depends on, if you have family and kids waiting for you that you come back home to. If your partner, if that's something you do with your partner, let's say, you've got a girlfriend or a husband, wife, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever.
Yeah.
And you're going to do that together. Like when you ride over together, then you have like, how was your day, honey? That kind of thing on the way over. Then you train and maybe you hit an all you can eat place afterwards. Like when I train with, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to make a day out of it, basically make a project.
Yeah. It's like what you do. Like, you don't go to the bar or go grab a drink after work. Like you go to the gym, you train and you go to the smoothie bar afterwards or, go like Dave and I back in the day, like when we were doing DC training.
Yeah.
It wasn't that far. I lived on the outskirts of Tucson, but we would train. There were times when we could train in the afternoon. He would work early. We had various configurations and we'd get done. And I think we would train at like 2 or something like that. And I could do that on certain days, when I was in acupuncture school. We would train and then we would go right to the all you can eat Chinese buffet afterwards and sitting there and like talk shop and just, eat our faces off.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. But it was a 30-minute, drive in, but I had to be in town anyway, so, like if your workplace is close to your gym, then it's easy. So you got that other factor to consider. It's not an extra, like if it's 30 minutes further, then you have an hour back and that's maybe too much, but it could be okay too, depending on what you're, whether you eat before you leave, then you just have an hour to get home and then you can take a shower and go to bed. Yeah. So many different, the thing I've helped people with this before, and I kind of built this into Fortitude Training. Just this is the example I know the best is sometimes people have a preferred gym, but they've got another gym that's closer to them. Mm-hmm. And so you could set up Fortitude Training, for instance, so that you do your preferred day, whichever ones that might be. You might do 2 days on the weekend. So you train Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
Okay.
So if bodybuilding is something you really dig and you want to take the time, like there was the World Gym actually in Tucson, which has since changed names several times, but that was around for the longest time. Tommy Ferrantino was the owner of that gym for years, and that gym was badass. It was really amazing. He was a former Mr. Arizona. A lot of powerlifters in there. They still got great equipment, I think, but they're made kind of more of an MMA gym, but they've got so much space. They've left a lot of the equipment in place. And I would drive an hour. It was an hour to get there, like with little traffic. But it was totally worth it,
I've done that too.
So I do that on the weekends,
regularly.
Yeah. So that wasn't a problem at all. So if you can, like, if you got like, if you can schedule it, let's say that, like some people for Fortitude Training, like the really get after it sets where they have to make it happen are the days they do the loading sets, the heavy sets. And those are programmed and log booked more strictly to create the progressive overload stimulus. They might want to go specifically to those gyms where they got the right atmosphere, where they know they can get the same equipment, like everything's consistent. And then like the other days, let's say that's Saturday and Sunday, they go in for those and they cram those two together because they know they'll get it done. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays where they're doing muscle rounds, which are sort of auto regulated in terms of exercise selection. Yeah. Then they just, they go to whatever gym, they might go to,
you could use anything at that
Planet
point.
Fitness or something like that, and they crank those out, so that's easier and quicker, and they can bang it through using selectorized machines, and they're not moving plates around, that kind of stuff.
Fair enough.
So partners another thing too, whether you have a training partner that you can train with all the time or not.
Yeah.
It's a huge factor. So the last thing I'd say is that it's all a matter of how important that gym is to you and whether the gym and the environment matters. So if you're someone who can get riled up, if you're in a shack, behind someone's house out in the woods, it doesn't matter where you're at, like I've been training in my, backyard lately, trying to rehab all the little niggles that I've picked up over the last few months. And, I friggin' go to town out there. I have a blast, Yeah. It's like my neighbors probably think I'm, axe murdering people when I'm doing that. If they can hear me, they probably can't. I'm screaming. I'm on the other side of the house, but so they can't probably hear me too well.
My neighbors think
it doesn't
a rave
matter.
Party. My neighbors think I'm having a rave party.
I believe it.
About 2 to 3 o'clock every other day at this point. That's how often I'm training. But you're right. Yeah. I think that maybe if we left everybody as we close this out with a take home point, it would be that no matter what environment you're in, no matter what gym you're at, it comes down to you. It comes down to the energy that you bring the focus that you bring and basically that intensity that you don't need it. You know, you don't need the perfect gym to create that. Although, damn, it is nice when you get the opportunity to train at a place like that we've talked about today,
right.
You know,
some other things too to close with that I just made notes of is a gym that's set up for both bodybuilders and powerlifters. It's probably going to be a good one if it's like truly set up with both in mind.
Yeah.
Because powerlifters have a different mentality than if you got powerlifters in there, then you know you've got a hardcore mentality. Yep. And if they're set up for bodybuilding, then it's going to be good. The dumbbells, if you got dumbbells to 200, that tells you something.
Yeah.
You're not going to find that at Planet Fitness or wherever. It's not going to happen. If it's a warehouse style with super high ceilings, then that's another thing too that I kind of was thinking. And then if they allow chalk.
Oh yeah.
Those are like, you know, so you go to a gym where they've got a monolift, high ceilings, and they allow chalk and a roll up door and a good selection of machines. And you see like the covering on the machines that doesn't match, like they're all different colors, whatever. Like then it's like, okay, they don't give a shit. Like they're not trying to be stylized. They're not trying to impress people like with, you know, everything being purple and blue or whatever colors they've chosen. Yeah. Purple and yellow, whatever the Planet Fit is, purple and yellow, I think, or something. They're just about whether the machine will help you get it done. That's a good sign. So those are all like little check boxes I think you can use.
Nick Wary added if they allow dogs, that's a solid one as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Laid back. Right. You know, laid back.
Yep. For sure. Absolutely.
All right. Well, this is a fun topic. I appreciate you guys hanging out with us for it. I didn't mention it at the beginning, but if you're still watching and you haven't subscribed, we'd love to have you subscribe at Think Big Bodybuilding Media on YouTube. And of course, you can find our podcast apps over on iTunes, all that stuff. I'm kind of talking here and I'm kind of talking to Instagram at the same time. Of course, go to fortitudetraining.net, BYOBBcoach.com. Check out Scott's books and check out our great sponsor, TrueNutrition.com. Use our code THINK to help support our programs. All right, guys, we'll see you soon.